Everybody, welcome back to Shock and Schlock. I'm your host, Herschel Gillis, and today I'm back. I know it's been close to a month of no uploads, but anybody that follows me online knows about what has happened in my personal life with family and a death in the family, so I don't want to really go into that. But today, finally, I am starting the series of Bad Bin. Now, what is Bad Bin? It is a found footage series. It is now up to 12 parts. I believe there's a 13th part in production. I know it didn't quite hit the funding goal it is looking for, so I don't know if that's still going forward or not. But currently, it is a 12-part series directed by Nigel Bach. Found footage films about a man named Tom Riley. Tom is in every single one of these movies, at least for a brief time, but we'll get to that as this series goes on. There's a couple of them that he's not the focal point of the film, but that is rare. Across the 12, he is primarily our protagonist for the series. Um, Now, Bad Bin, the first one came out in, I believe, 2016, which is now 2023, with 12 total entries coming across this 7-year period. Um, and you would think that the series would be stale, but I actually have a ranking online if you want to see that on my Letterboxd. I do think that some of the later entries are actually the best. I actually don't think the first one is even in the top 5 of the series here, but it is a good intro. So let's get into it. So Bad Bin, the start of the series. We'll get into lore and everything as the series moves on. But obviously, I don't want to spoil anything for films going forward. So if I do say something about a film going forward, it's not going to be a spoiler, more just like a remember this for later on. Um, so first off, Bad Bin, the first one here has that sort of, I don't want to say generic, but it is a little bit generic plot premise of this man moving into a house that is haunted. Tom Riley is the man, of course. When he moves into the house, he doesn't know that it's haunted, obviously. He got it during like a liquidation sale, so he got it for very cheap, and he's looking to buy it to flip it. So he's going there, staying, a few nights, trying to get everything figured out with electrical and stuff before he can flip the house. And of course, things don't go according to plan, and paranormal happenings occur. Now, Bad Bin is unique as not just the first film, but as a series. But first film here really does start showcasing Tom Riley as a character. Now, most found footage movies, the reason that I feel they're so stale, especially with like paranormal films like Paranormal Activity and stuff like that, I don't think the characters are very endearing. I never really care for them. You don't care what happens to them. Tom Riley is different. He is a foul-mouthed New Jersey man who just wants to be left alone. And there are times in this where Tom is scared by these paranormal happenings, and there are times where the ghost and everything, spoiler alert, ghost and stuff, are just a minor inconvenience, and Tom just does things that no rational human being would do, but usually it's for a comedic purpose and it serves the film in that way. Now, this film is certainly a horror comedy, but it is also the rare case where I think the horror and comedy are both there in equal parts. It's not just, a comedy movie that has monsters and gore and stuff in it, like, a Tucker and Dale versus Evil type of deal or Shaun of the Dead. This is more of a horror film that has moments of levity there that are funny. And it balances this quite well. It is legitimately scary several times across the film. It's legitimately funny the rest of the time. There's a lot of jokes thrown around. Some of them don't land. That's going to be with every comedy. But a lot of them do. And Tom is a really good character, played by Nigel Bach as well. This film was very, very low budget. I think it was like a $3,000 budget for the first one here. But there is something really endearing about this. And the way that the found footage is done makes more sense than a lot of films. There's no like fake film grain or any of that stuff that I hate. Um, Most of it is like security cameras that Tom has installed in the house. Um, excuse me. It's just much more believable. The series, as it goes on, gets more and more, I mean, I'm not going to say any of these are realistic, but they get less and less grounded, I would say. This first one is definitely more in line with like a Paranormal Activity cookie cutter film as far as the actual plot goes, but once again, Tom really brings that difference here, and we learn about the titular Ben, who doesn't really play much of a role past the original like trilogy, as I'm assuming it was planned to be, because the films past the third one in the series sort of get into different territories. So we'll come back to that in a later video, but you get a little bit of lore, a little bit of like background on what about Ben. Um, but you get a lot of also generic things like creepy drawings done by a kid, stuff like that. Um, and there's, you see these drawings. There's Ben and there's Bad Ben. You're wondering what that is. But I will say that even these generic moments are, creepy a lot of the time, and there is a legitimate sense of dread that comes from very simple things that Nigel does in directing this film. That is the change of color on like the outside cameras whenever there is a movement. You may not see a direct like effect in the room like immediately, like a lot of films, like if a ghost or something comes into the room, you see like a moving chair and that's how it's announced. This, like, it'll flash from, I believe it was red to green, when there is movement in the room. So like you'll be seeing an empty room and you can like start pinpointing like where the thing is. And as across these 12 movies, a lot of these, or almost all of them, take place in the same house. You would think this is a bad thing, but it's not. It's actually really weird because as the series goes on, the more you watch it, the more you start recognizing like locations and you know where things are going to be going. It's really interesting. I think it's a very unique take um, on the genre because of this as well. And I think this first film, the flaws in it are really just it being slightly more generic than the films going forward. But we are introduced to Tom Riley, which is the bread and butter of the series. Bad Ben, or Ben, is not really any more than like just the thing that initially got Tom to the house as the series goes on. But the first three that I'm going to be talking about, these first three videos, we will be talking about Ben. And with each of these videos, I'm going to be talking more and more about what Ben is, the lore behind that, what Tom's doing, all this stuff. But as far as the first film, that's about it. I'm not going to spoil the end of it. I will say the ending is a bit generic as well. But a lot of the generic parts in this are parts that I'm like, that's not my favorite, do get almost fixed in future ones by like how they're treated and like what happened after. So I think this is a really strong entry point in a series that I've found myself really enjoying quite a bit going forward. Um, and I think this is a really solid entry to really see if you want to continue the series as well. Like if you watch this and you enjoy it, you will enjoy almost, we'll talk about that way later, almost every entry in the series. There are a couple duds. Of course, this is a 12 movie series. There are going to be a couple duds. This is not one of them, but I also think it's sort of like middle of the pack. But if you enjoy it, you will enjoy future ones for sure. If you enjoy this, keep going, keep watching them. It's easy to watch. I believe it's on Amazon Prime. You can get a Blu-ray box set from Nigel on the Bad Ben website, which is what I have. I met Nigel at FrankenCon briefly when we were there. Really sweet man as well. You should definitely support him. So I'd highly recommend that box set. If you watch the first one and really enjoy it, you will probably want to pick that up. But yeah, this is a very exciting series, and I think people that are watching these videos, I think you're going to enjoy the films as well. And if you want to watch these as the videos come out, I would honestly say that's the ideal way. I watch these every day for like a week and a half. Just blaze through the entire series, and I do not regret that at all. So, anyway, I'm going to be posting another video, hopefully, tomorrow or Sunday, about Badman 2, um, which is simply called Steelmanville Road. Yeah, Steelmanville Road is also where the house is on, so that connection there. Anyway, make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Keep your notifications on. I'll see you guys later, and thanks for watching.